Hello everyone and welcome to this video. Now today I'm going to be reviewing the 1975 self-titled album from the band Fleetwood Mac. So here it is. In this video I will give a bit of background information about the album. I will show you the vinyl copy of it here, and then go over each of the album songs in detail, giving each song a score out of 10, and then those will be used to give us a overall percentage score for the album. So this was the band's 10th studio album, released on the 11th of July in 1975. This album is quite an important one for the band. It was the first one to feature the classic lineup, what we all know today, of Lindsey Buckingham, Stevie Nicks joining the already formed band of Mick Fleetwood, John McVie and Christine McVie. It's quite an interesting story how they came to join the band, Buckingham Nicks. Basically, in 1974, Fleetwood Mac's guitarist Bob Welsh decided to leave the band, so they were looking to fill this vacant spot. And Mick Fleetwood happened to hear the Buckingham Nicks album, and he was quite impressed with the guitar playing on it. So he got in contact with this Lindsey Buckingham guy and asked him if he wanted to join the band. He said that he'll join on one condition, that his musical partner and girlfriend, at the time Stevie Nicks, could join them as well. So that's what happened, and the rest they say is history. They both joined the band, and this was the first album they all made together. There's the classic lineup on the back, and it's quite remarkable as well. Once they actually got together, this album only took about 3 months to record. I think it is just fascinating how they just managed to click with this already formed and semi-successful band. They just happened just to fit right in with their style. This album was a breakthrough album for them in America. Although it wasn't initially a huge hit, it was after about 15 months after it was released, and touring the album and building up a big following, the album did eventually reach #1, and it spent 37 weeks in the US top 10 and sold 8 million copies. And it also had 3 top 20 singles on it as well. So a very successful album eventually in America, despite not being a huge hit when it was initially released. However, it didn't do so well in the UK. It failed to chart when it was initially released. But after the follow-up album, which was Rumours, of course, and that being a massive hit, this was reissued, and it managed to reach number 23 when it was reissued. And it's an interesting change of fortunes really, because in the late 60s, in Fleetwood Mac's early days, they were quite successful in Britain. Think of songs like Albatross or Oh Well. They were a pretty popular band. Then they kind of just faded a bit in the early to mid 70s, but then they would eventually come back with Rumours and that, and that would then they'd regain and exceed a lot of the popularity of what they had. So anyway, I will just show the vinyl here. It's quite basic packaging. This isn't a gatefold album. I'm not sure if it was ever issued as a gatefold. I think this is an original copy. There's the front cover there. There's John McVie and I think, is that Mick Fleetwood? I think it is. I'm not too sure, but sort of slightly juxtaposition. He's sort of compressed and he's stretched up. Quite an interesting arty cover. There's the back of it there. Yeah, the lineup there. Song credits at the bottom. In here we have there's a lyric insert there, which has the lyrics. Mine isn't in the greatest of shapes, a little bit dirty in that, so I could have maybe got a slightly better copy, but this was quite cheap in record shop. I believe I got this for about a £5, which is a great deal. And the record here is just in a plain sleeve, and we're on Reprise Records here, Fleetwood Mac. There we go. But so now I'm going to go over all of the album songs. I will score each song out of 10, and then as I said, I will give a percentage score for the album. So we open up with the song Monday Morning, and I'm giving this a 10 out of 10. It is one of my absolute favourite Fleetwood Mac songs, and was one of the first of their songs that I really got into and heard, because it is the opening song on this album here, the very best of Fleetwood Mac. First song on there is Monday Morning, and I just love it. I think it is a great energetic song, quite rocking, and that it's got some great guitar work on it from Lindsey Buckingham. Great introduction to him, because this was the first song what he contributed to the band. It's just a great start, and as I said, the way he integrated with the already going band was just really quite special, and like I think it's like a great band performance like on here, great drumming for like Mick Fleetwood like on this one here, and like great production values like on this as well. I believe this album was produced by a guy called Keith Olsen. It says was engineered it. So I was produced by Fleetwood Mac and Keith Olsen. So like he gets like a great sound like on like this song and like throughout the whole album as well. Now the second song in is a track called Warm Ways, and I'm giving this a 7 out of 10. This is a much slower Christine McVie number, and like it's nice enough, like it's a nice ballad. It isn't that memorable though, like it is what might grow on me, because I think it does have like a nice melody, but it isn't anything too amazing for me. And like this was like actually released as the first single from the album, and like I'd say like it was like a weak choice, and like it probably was as well, because it failed to chart like when it was like released like as a single. I mean like it's an okay song, but it's kind of quite slow, quite soft, sort of your typical sort of 70s soft rock sound to it. So it isn't like anything like too special, but I like it though. Do I read the message in your eyes? Then we get a song called Blue Letter, and I really love this one. I'm giving this a 9 out of 10. This is a great rock. It really picks up the album like after like that much slower, tender ballad. This one though actually isn't written by like any member of Fleetwood Mac. It's written it was written by two songwriters called Richard Curtis and Michael Curtis, and like it was like originally like intended for like for like a proposed second Buckingham and Nicks album, what like was like never made, but like they did put it like on this album though. I would give this song like a 10 out of 10 if they actually wrote it, but like I can't really give 10 out of 10s to cover songs, but it is still a good one. Like it was written for them though. It's not like a cover of like a popular track, but it's just a fantastic song, great rock, a really catchy song, just like a fantastic track for me. We get the first Stevie Nicks song on the album. It is a track called Rhiannon, and this is a very popular one. It is one of the most popular songs, one of Fleetwood Mac's most popular songs. And it's very typical like of her style. I would say like it's like a style of song that would get like overdone like over the years. It's very similar sort of like musical style stuff like Dreams and Sarah and Gypsy, those sort of slightly mystical and slower and style songs, but still with like a little bit of like a beat going through it and that. Like it's quite a hard sort of thing like to describe. I do really love this song though. Like this is probably like one of like the best of like the bunch like of those songs like what I just named. This was also a single from the album. It reached number 11 in the American charts, and like number 46 when it was reissued in like the UK around the time just like after Rumours. Jaqen is another Christine McVie song, and like another slightly slower one for her. Like she did write like pretty good ballads, but then she also done like quite good like upbeat numbers as well. We'll get onto like one of those. I'm also thinking stuff like You Make Loving Fun and like also other one like Everywhere, like those sort of ones. Like I'd say she's probably like my favourite songwriter like in Fleetwood Mac. And like this song, what I would give a 10 out of 10 to is like one of her very best. It's a lovely ballad, very strong melody to it. It's just a gorgeous melody, and like lyrics to this one could be about like a marriage to like the band's bassist like John McVie, and like they would like divorce like the following year, like in 1976. So like yeah, like it is a lovely song, got great lyrics to it, great melody, and like it's like a great production, great sound like on like the track as well, and like Lindsey Buckingham contributes some really nice guitar work to this track as well. In the crystalline knowledge of you. Now, our closing side one, we get another slower ballad. So I can kind of feel that this one, which is called Crystal, is slightly hampered by like the fact that like it comes after like another slower one, and then like even then like Rhiannon like isn't like the fastest song either. So like it is Crystal, and like I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. This one is this one was written by Stevie Nicks and like was actually on like the first Buckingham Nicks album, and But for me, the song, it just doesn't do too much for me. Like, it's not very memorable. It's kind of boring and like drags on a bit. Like, it's one of like the longest songs like on the album. I believe it clocks in like at about 5 minutes. Even if like it was shorter, then like I could only really see myself giving it like a 7 or something. But it is just a 6 because it does drag on quite a bit and like it does get a little bit boring quite quickly for me. Then we open up side 2 with an absolute Fleetwood Mac classic and one of my favourite songs of theirs. It is Say You Love Me, a Christy McVie song, and it is just amazing track. It is really great, more upbeat song, yeah, slightly more commercial than like maybe some of like their previous albums and that, but it's just such a fun song. Great like arrangement to it as well. Again, like Lindsey Buckingham really like adding to like McVie's songs is like something what like I found like over like the years with Fleetwood Mac that like happens a lot. Like he puts like a great like guitar arrangement like over them, which I think works really well. And like yeah, it is a fantastic song. Was a US single, reached number 11, but like only reached like number 40 in like the UK. But it would later become like a classic and like one of like the most well-known songs.
Well, I've been afraid of changing.
We get Landslide, which is a Stevie Nicks number, and I would say one of her best. I'm giving this a 10 out of 10. I think it is a lovely, nice, tender acoustic guitar song. It really works well. Lovely lyrics on this. They're probably some like her best lyrics. Because it's not like that much off like a mystical song. Like it's not really done like in like a sort of style. It is quite different. Like it does have like some really nice touching lyrics to it, and like some really nice guitar playing from like Lindsey Buckingham like as well. I'd say both of like, because she only gets 2 songs like on this album, so she wouldn't really like integrate with like the band like as much as like Buckingham did like on this album. Like I'd say like until Rumours really, but her like 2 songs like on this album, Landslide and Rhiannon, are both absolutely fantastic. So yeah, she was like really showing like great promise. And now we get a track called World Turning, and I'm giving this a 9 out of 10. This is one of the more slightly interesting songs from the album, slightly more experimental almost. It is a collaboration between Christy McVie and Lindsey Buckingham, and I really think like the duet vocals on this song really work. Like it really adds something like to the track. It's quite a tense song, quite like a quite like atmospheric start to it. And like, but it does build up, like it slowly sort of gathers like steam and like different like layers like are added slowly to the track. And like it's almost like it's quite like an experimental song. Kind of reminds me of like some of like the stuff like they do on like the album Tusk. But yeah, like a really fantastic song. Now the penultimate track is another Christy McVie number. She gets quite a few songs like on this album. It is called Sugar Daddy. And I'd say this is probably one of the weakest ones on the album, probably tied with Crystal as like the weakest like on the album. I think it's very similar to Say You Love Me. It's very similar piano part what opens the song, then the drums kick in. It basically seems like a rewrite like of that song, but it is a much weaker track like overall. So like I'm giving it like 6 out of 10 because it isn't really like that original like as like a song. It just seems like oh well, we've got one what really works with this sort of style. Let's just try it again. And like it doesn't quite work for me like on like this number. And now like the one will probably cause like quite a bit of like controversy like with my opinion on it. It is I'm So Afraid, a Buckingham number, and I'm giving this only a 7 out of 10. It isn't a favourite track of mine. It is a much more slower, bluesier number, quite dark track, quite like dark lyrics to it. So like it is different for Fleetwood Mac. Like I will give it that. Like they don't really do like this sort of style of song like all that often, which is probably like for the better for me. The reason why like I don't really care for it too much is like I don't like his vocal performance like on this song. I kind of feel like on like the studio version, he's singing too high for like what he can actually sing, like especially on like the chorus side. I think it's dead and that where's like the lyric sheet for it. It's like Days When the Rain and the Sun Are Gone, Black as Night, that bit like of the song, he's really straining like his vocals and that. And so like I'd say that this version probably isn't like the best version like of the song, and like actually on like this album here, the very best of, they use a live version from 1997, which is like a better performance. Like overall, like I certainly prefer like the production and like the guitar playing like on like this version here. But it is a decent song. Like I'm gonna give it like a 7 out of 10. Like it does have like some nice guitar playing, but for me it isn't one of like my favourite Fleetwood Mac songs. It isn't a track what I like often come back to. Overall, I would give this album a score of 85%. A tremendous score for a really, really fantastic album, I think. In like many ways, it was like a rebirth for like the band. Like their popularity had been on like the wayside for like quite some time before this sort of like the early 70s albums and that. You don't really hear like too much of them. Maybe because like they weren't like that successful. Like I'm not too sure what sort of style like they were done in. Like if like they were more prog rock, if like they were more like hard rock, blues rock. Like I'm not too sure. But like they weren't like all that successful albums. And then like they just seemed to find themselves like with this album. Like they found like a strong sort of West Coast like American soft rock style, what really suited them, and like it would be the sound that would define like the rest of like their careers and like their legacy as well. And like it is a really consistent album as well, and like the fact that like there are a lot of really popular songs like on it. I mean like Rhiannon is an absolute classic. Over My Head was a very popular song as well. Say You Love Me, Landslide as well is like a song that like has recently become like very popular again. World Turning and like I'm So Afraid as well like is a popular fan favourite, although personally not with me. But yeah, like a really consistent album though. Really like it set like the band up nicely for like the huge success of like the follow-up album Rumours. Some people say this is even stronger than Rumours. I personally like wouldn't go that far. Like I think it still has like a couple of like slightly weaker moments in it, but overall it is a strong album from them. And like I would say is like one of their absolute best. So I hope you have enjoyed this this album review. Again, if you have like any like requests, like I will get around to doing them. Like I'm just sort of trying to get like a good like range of like artists like what like I'm reviewing and that. So like I've got like I've got like a list of like the albums and what I'm still to review, so like I will get around to doing them of course eventually. But yeah, like I would like to know what like you think like of this album in like the comment section, and like yeah, like I will see you next time. Goodbye.